somewhere I've heard it said. Opened my eyes, rolled out of bed, slipped on some cut-off jeans, sandals and a tank top shirt. Going to the tiki bar, cause the bar stool's where I work. Blando con le señorita, tight shorts and long tan legs.
Catchy, yeah.
She smiles, walks away, cause she likes to see me beg. Pour another shot of tequila, slice of lime. Not gonna go nowhere, cause I'm on island time.
So I'm going to work on it and put it to him, see what he said he can do something with it. See what he can do.
How'd you come up with that name?
In St. Augustine, there is a bar called Dos Gatos. It's an old St. Augustine. And I went to a rehearsal dinner back in April for my great nephew. And so while we were there, they've got this huge, in the bar area downstairs, this pirate lady, all laid back with these two cats on each side of it. And I fell in love with the name Dos Gatos. Just the way it's
two actual cats?
Yeah, two actual cats. And so I fell in love with the name Dos Gatos. And so my grandchildren was up here with me back in July or August. And as I was taking them back home to Macon, my mind just started wandering to some island type music. And so as I started talking about Dos Gatos, my brother, Mickey, he's about 3.5 years older than me. He and I have been tied to 2 coats of paint ever since we was kids. And so we do a lot of stuff together, you know, carrying on and stuff. And so I kept thinking about he and I. So I thought, hey man, 2 guys in an island bar, old guys down at a bar doing nothing but drinking tequila all day, you know, Solos Dos Gatos.
Yeah.
And that's where it came from. I just started writing it, so I kind of tweaked it, got it going. And I put the melody to it and sent it off to, well, actually I didn't send it off. The guy that's been doing some producing for me, I told him, I said, hey, I've got a song I want you to listen to. And he said, okay, let's listen. So we got some Nashville musicians in. And
Natural musicians.
Nashville musicians, yeah. And so they put together this cool music to it with my melody, and bada boom, here we are, Solo Dos Gatos.
Well, it's a catchy tune. It's not on your album.
No, that's not. That album was cut. CD was cut last year, and this one has just been done within the last 2 months.
Now I've noticed this one the one we just played is not online. The others are.
Right. I'm in the process of reworking my website as we speak. I've got several things I want to add to it, and I was waiting to get them all done before I go in and have my web guy put it together. There's no sense in doing a little bit here and then going back doing more, so I'm waiting to get it all done. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping to have several things to add to my website, which will have parts of Solo Dos Gatos and a couple more that we're working on in Nashville right now.
What makes a song go big? Does anybody know?
Not really, I don't think. I mean, it's pure guesstimation, Dee. I personally think, I mean, think about in the 60s, and you listen to people like the Beatles and people, you know, the lyrics are sometimes just kind of really elementary. But the beat, the sound, the way they perform it is what makes that catchy tune. And next thing you know, you're listening to that beat and that music and you're singing the lyrics, and the lyrics don't sound elementary. They just sound like they go with the music. So I think a lot of times it's just the beat, the sound, it's how it fits in. It makes people think about something in their past or what they're doing and their love too. If you've got people that likes islands, they're gonna love stuff like this.
But now some music, I listen to it and I listen to the lyrics, but it reminds me of a time in my life, and I relate that song. You know, maybe they're talking about a tractor, but I'm thinking about a boat. But it still works for me.
Right. And most folks are that way. You know, you can hear a song that brings you back to a happier time when you met your wife, or you was dating that special girl as a homecoming queen, or whatever. It's great. Then you can hear a song that, excuse me, that brings back a sad time, and for a little while you're sitting there listening and say, oh man, you know, I don't know why I do this. But as soon as it's over with, you go back to doing something again. Songs touch the soul. And any good songwriter will tell you that those stories that they're writing are not necessarily things that happened to them. A lot of people do that, but it's just things that come to mind that they want to see, or maybe they wish they had seen. And this is a story behind it.
It's a form of art, right?
Yes, it is.
And I think Webster's dictionary defines art as provokes thought. So if your songs or if a songwriter can provoke a thought, then you've done your job as an artist.
That's right.
Now I've heard people say, oh, I don't get this song, I don't get that song, and I'm thinking the artist doesn't want. You don't have to get what he's saying. It just has to provoke a specific thought in you.
That's right.
That you like and you can relate to. You can make the story whatever you want. It's just a starting point.
I love to go on the internet and pull up a song and find out the meaning of the song from the band or the songwriter. And 9 times out of 10, to give you a great example, I'm from Macon, Georgia, and I grew up in the era of the Allman Brothers.
Allman Brothers Band.
That's right. They lived in Macon. Matter of fact, I used to sit occasionally.
Oh, they lived in Macon.
Yeah, they lived in Macon. They've got a museum there called the Big House now.
Did you know them?
Well, I was going to tell you, I used to sit and drink beer with Greg sometimes back at the La Bistro behind in the alley off of the main drag in downtown Macon. He didn't know who I was, and I'd speak to him, and he'd say something back and forth, but he didn't know me. But every day about 4:30, he'd pull that old pink ragtop Cadillac into the loading zone in front of the shoe store, and he'd stagger into back to the La Bistro, and he'd sit at the bar and drink beer. Well, these guys, they would do free concerts just for the people in Macon to come to. I mean, it's just amazing. But Greg, in his book, he wrote and said that they did a song called Sweet Melissa. I don't know if you're probably familiar with it. And he said he could not come up with a title. He kept saying Sweet Carol, Sweet Janice, Sweet this. And he said, I couldn't come up with a name for it. He said one night, real late, he went to the grocery store. And he says, as I was walking down the aisle, he said, I heard this Spanish lady calling, Melissa, Melissa, where are you, Melissa? And it hit him. He said, Sweet Melissa. And so he goes around the corner. He says, ma'am, thank you so much. And she said, who are you? He said, you just gave me the name of my song. And it was Sweet Melissa. So and things happen. You know, it's crazy. But people, I really think people relate music and the story of the music to themselves.
And you don't have to understand what. See, I don't like to look up what the artist meant because that'll skew my thinking. Okay. I want it to stay with what I'm thinking.
All right. Well, and that's good. That's good. Sometimes you want to keep the mystique in it, but I don't know. I like to kind of know what the meaning is.
Now, some songs are more like a Johnny Cash. They were more of a ballad.
Right. And that's where the old country music used to be.
That's where
the old
it used
Appalachian
to be.
music was ballads.
It was all ballads.
Yeah.
Where did that originate from?
From what I have read,
Ireland, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of it came over from Ireland because a lot of the Appalachian people are from Ireland and Scotland. And I don't know if I'm a big fan of Andy Griffith. I mean, I love Andy Griffith, and I love to watch the Darlings.
I'm a bigger fan.
Yeah, I love to watch the Darlings in that music. And, they were actually a band.
Oh, yeah. She's still alive.
Right, and she sang with them. So
she's one of the two that are still alive, plus Opie.
But that type music, I don't care who you are. Once you hear that beat, and that sound, you got to tap your toes. I mean, it's just awesome music. And when I was growing up, that's all my parents would listen to, the old bluegrass, Johnny Mercer and the Mercer Boys and people. I can remember going over to Alabama to visit my grandparents. And my dad used to tell me, and it was always funny, I did not know this until I had children, but he'd say, I like driving at night because it keeps the cars cooler. It makes the engine run cooler. That wasn't what it was. It was all those kids were asleep, didn't want to get out of the car and go to the bathroom or fussing and fighting. That's what it was. And I didn't learn that till later. But I can remember waking up about 2:30 in the morning. He's driving, and everybody's asleep, and I can hear the little AM/FM radio crackling, and you're getting the Louisiana hayride out of Louisiana, and that sweet-sounding bluegrass music coming out of there. And it was just, I was just a kid. I was maybe 5, 6 years old. It was just awesome.
So what era was this? Because
this is in the 50s. I was born in the mid-50s.
So you weren't really, you were supposed to be listening to Elvis and.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, what really got me the love of music was Elvis Presley. You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Yeah.
I can remember as a kid, I was younger. I was a third, and my little brother had just been born, and I was probably 2, 3 years old. But I have a vague memory of going out in the backyard with an old guitar and standing in front of my the dog we had in the pen, sitting there just banging on a guitar, singing "You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog." You know, that was one of my first memories of wanting music. My dad took me to the cleaners one morning to pick up some cleaning, and the guy offered to pay me 25 cents if I would sing for him, and I was too scared. I mean, heck, D, at 4 years old, I could have been professional. I got paid for it, you know.
You know, I had Steve Hartline on here a couple of weeks ago, and he said he used to interview a dog.
Really?
And you were singing to a dog as an
That's
audience.
right,
These poor old dogs, no telling how many people they got started.
Yeah, but they love you one way or the other. You know?
That's true. I got my phone on vibrate.
So they love you one way or the other.
Do you think? Now I like one of my favorites is God, I can't think of his name. Van Morrison.
Oh, I love Van Morrison.
He's my absolute all-time favorite.
Yes.
And you can't hardly understand what he's saying.
Yeah. I think he's from New York, isn't he?
No, he's Scotch Irish.
Is he Scotch? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And he has 448 recorded songs. And some of them you can't understand them, but listening to the music and listening to his voice, you can come up with what you want it to say.
Sure.
They say if you can control a nation's music, you can control the nation.
I can see, because you control their soul.
Now, what is the soul?
Well, it's what you love. You know, anything you love is deep in your soul. That's what I feel.
Where's the soul?
I think it's the whole body. You know, and too, people say your heart. I mean, I think your heart's up here too. It's not just here, this beats, but I think your heart's up here. When they say you're in love with all your heart, you're in love with all your mind and your soul. You know,
Because your heart doesn't know.
Yeah, the heart doesn't know. It beats blood. I really feel like that the heart is up here too. So you know, you tell somebody how you feel. You know, your heart's not talking. It's your brain. And so that's where I think the soul is as well. So when you hear something, it registers. And look, I'm not a rap fan. I don't like rap music. I don't like opera music. But pretty much I like all other kinds of music. So it depends on what I'm listening to as to kind of feel. I take spurts. Sometimes I'm into Southern rock, and I'm on a lawnmower riding around cutting grass, and I'm listening to Southern rock. Other times it might go back to Seals and Croft or somebody like that.
Jackson Brown?
Yeah, Jackson. I love Jackson Brown.
I love
yes.
Jackson Brown.
Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. I mean, you know, some of those guys that were really, really good. And it takes me back to times. I'm one of these kind of guys. I look back into the past. I think, man, I love that time. I wish I could go back. And so when I'm hearing those songs, I'm back there. I'm back there thinking about the things that went on. You know, I was young, free, able to do what I wanted to do, and just, you know, enjoying the time.
And you didn't know those songs impacted you then.
No.
What songs are impacting us today that we don't know about?
I don't know.
I remember as a kid, I thought, well, they've written all the songs. I mean, how do they come up with so many combinations and so many copyrights and this is my riff and that's my lyric and he used that word and I used that. I mean, that gets complicated.
Sure it does. Sure it does. When you start copyrighting and of course, you know, Stairway to Heaven had not too long ago been on a court case because they said someone had stolen some of their music.
It'd be hard to get a jury to buy that, wouldn't it?
That's exactly right.
Southern rock, you mean Creedence Clearwater?
Oh yeah, any of that, you know, Creedence Clearwater, Marshall Tucker, you know, Stillwater, the Outlaws, people like that. Now some of the local regional bands where I'm from down there. But yeah, that type of music where you take, it's not country, but it's got a little country, a little blues, and a little bit of rock and roll all mixed together.
Creedence Clearwater was that for sure, wasn't it?
Sure was. Sure was. They were ahead of their time.
And Leonard Skinner.
Oh yeah.
Boy, that's good. I enjoy good music, and I'm like you. It doesn't matter what it was. I'm not into opera, but now I can enjoy some rap.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, my granddaughter just called me yesterday, and she told me, she said, "Hey, don't you listen to this song I just wrote? And it's got some rap to it." And she said, I think she said it was called "Diss My Dad" or something. She's 11 years old, so.
She was going to diss her dad. So let me ask you this. Everybody wants to be a singer-songwriter, right?
No, I don't think so. I think some people just they just don't get into that. They want to do something else.
What's your writing process?
I've had people ask me that. I've had a couple real strange questions. Someone asked me and said, do you write the lyrics first and then the music? Or do you write the music first, then the lyrics? I said, it depends. I said, there's times that I'm just go to my music room and I just pick up my guitar and I'm just starting to play, some chords. And I'll think, oh, that sounds pretty good, the way it changes and things. And then I'll start playing. As I'm playing, I'll start thinking of some words. And then I'll sit down and work on it. Sometimes it takes 3 months, 2 months, 2 weeks. It depends on what the song is. Solo Dos Caras didn't take that long. It just kind of flowed. But sometimes I'll write words and I'll make it to the way of a poem. Well, when you do that, it doesn't necessarily fit in music. So once you start playing music to it, you have to go back and rearrange and change things. And that's good. That's tweaking it. But you'll tweak it several times before you actually get it to a point. But when I do get one that I like and I think it's okay, then I sing it for weeks in my head as I'm doing things. It just pops up. I'll wake up sometime at night and just the sound of it, and I'm singing, and then I'll think, oh, if I change that word, it might be a little better. Or if I add this word. So it's just a process. I had a guy ask me once, he said, does your wife get jealous because you write these songs about other women? I said, I don't write songs about other women. He said, well, yeah, but you're writing about this, that, and I said, I'm not thinking about other women. I'm thinking words to go with music. I'm thinking whatever comes in my head. And I said, she knows it.
I've never thought of that angle.
Yeah, she knows it. Because I'll tell her, I'll say, honey, I wrote this for you.
Yeah.
And she knows I did. Yeah. But then I'll say, hey, I want you to listen to this. And bless her heart, she's sweet as she can be, but she doesn't have the ability to understand the rhythm part of it. I wrote a song in and out, as a matter of fact. It's like just a couple chords. Da, 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 over
that
and
is
over.
a really good song.
And she says, that sounds mundane. Why are you? And I said, but that's just the rhythm. You got
Van
to wait
Morrison
till you
did
get
that
the
a
other
lot.
things to it. Yeah.
He would have just repetition after repetition.
Then when she hears the finished product, she said, oh, okay. So, so it makes a big difference.
Do you think that you could write better driving a car or riding a lawnmower or just there's no set thing?
I write better when I don't have anything around me to disturb me. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's sometimes when I'm upstairs and in my office, in my music room, and there's no one home, it's just me, and I can start writing and something. Or there's other times like Solo Dos Caras, I was in the car with 3 little girls in the back watching a movie, and I'm sitting there by myself just driving, and these things start coming in. It's funny, when I first started writing, we'd be going somewhere, and my wife I'd say, hey, write this down. And she'd get a piece of paper, and I'd start telling these lines, and she'd say, you through? I said, no, hang on, I'll give you some more in a minute. And I'd put together something. But I think when not everything gets me into the mood where I'm just zoned out. I have to be kind of zoned. And once I get zoned, then I can start putting things together. But I don't want the words to sound like they're cliche. And it's so easy to do to write something that's cliche. Yeah. You just write something that rhymes. And sometimes I wonder about rhyming. You need some rhymes, but then you go back and listen to some of the better songs of the world, and there's no rhymes.
There's no rhymes. No rhymes. Sometimes they'll twist the words to make them sound like they're.
But there's no rhymes.
Now, I've noticed in a lot of your songs, you'll say some words with an extreme distinction. And I don't know if you're aware that you do that, and I'm not sure why you do it, but some words you'll have like you do not want anybody to misunderstand this word.
Now, you're going to laugh when I tell you the reason for that. It's because I have such a deep Southern accent that I want it to be clear and clarified, that I want, I was doing a song on one of the albums when I first started recording, and the producer said, hey, try to make that word a little more prominent, or a little more clearer, because of the Southern accent. It kind of slides in, and so I'm self-conscious of that, and of course I don't want to lose my accent by no means. But what I'm saying is, some words, if you don't do that, they just kind of blend in, and they'll say, "What did he say?" So I try to be a little more distinct. I have caught that, and I've wondered if that would be catchable by someone else, but evidently it is.
Yeah.
So.
And it works.
Yeah. And I was going to say, that might be a good thing. It might be like you.
Yeah.
Why? Why did you do that? So, good
At
question.
least I noticed.
Yeah, good question, right.
Now, how long have you didn't always, I mean, is this a new thing for you?
Pretty much. New. Yeah. Back when I was 12, when I left out of grade school, my parents, we moved to another county in Georgia, and I met a guy by the name of Tommy Dean, and he and I became best friends and like brothers, and he played guitar in a little band. And so I thought, man, I've always wanted to do that. I mean, Herman's Hermits was always my, I want to do Mrs. Brown, You Got a Lovely Daughter. I wanted to get on stage and do that so bad I could hardly stand it. And so I went to him one day, I said, hey man, I want to learn how to play guitar. So he said, okay, so I'll show you some chords. Well, I told my mom, and she said, okay, I'm going to buy you a guitar. And she said, you learn 5 songs, and I'll buy you a better one. One day, she went on some catalog and ordered me a $20 guitar. And I learned to bang out 5 songs. And my dad was so proud of me because I could sing some of that country music stuff. We'd have company say, hey, Gary, get your guitar out and sing for us. Well, anyway, and I still have that guitar, by the way. I still have that guitar. But anyway, so then she bought me this nice guitar, and Tommy and I would get down in our basements and plug up amplifiers and microphones, and we would bang those things for 2 or 3 hours. I know we drove our parents crazy, but I learned how to play rhythm guitar and sing. Well, I wasn't in a band, but he would call me up sometime at some of their little gigs, and he'd say, hey, I got somebody I want y'all to hear sing this song. Then I got in a little band. Well, I played that band for several years until I got to the age of dating, and I met my wife now, and I realized that playing music wasn't bringing enough money to date and buy gas and things. So I laid the guitar down and went to work. And so for years I didn't pick it up. And
Did you keep the same job?
Well, I was selling shoes as a kid, as a kid, 16 and dating and things. And so when we moved up here, I thought, well, heck, I'm going to get it back out and play. So I got it back out, started playing, rusty as I could be, but I just kept banging until I kind of got back into rhythm. And then I wrote a poem called Ode to Atlanta Traffic. And I was going through Atlanta one day after I retired, heading down to Hilton Head to play golf with one of my coworkers that retired as well. And traffic was so bad. I traveled through Atlanta for 35, 40 years, and it just so bad. I just was sitting there writing these, traveling through Atlanta, this, that, and the other, about how bad the traffic was. And so I put it on Facebook just as a joke, a poem. One of my friends saw it and said, hey, can I send this to so-and-so? And he's a musician. I said, sure. He called me and said, man, can I put music to that? Yeah. So he did. He made it a real ballad. It was real, ballady. And so he did. And when he got through, he said, hey, you write pretty good. Have you ever decided to do this again? And he said, let's get together and I'll do some more. So I thought, whoa, okay. Because I had already written 2 books. And so I knew that I could write.
About what?
Well, my first book was about my days in the shoe business, called If the Shoe Fits, Wear It. And it's a funny story how that worked. My brother and I, at the age of 9.
Where did this idea come up to write a book about that? I mean, not the book itself, but the idea I'm going to write a book.
We were in the shoe store at the age of 19. My brother and I was 19, he was 21, 22, 23. We decided to open up a shoe store. So we opened up 2 shoe stores in Macon.
Where'd you get the shoes?
Well, we bought them from a old shoe company out of St. Louis, Missouri. We went on a program with them, and we buy shoes from them and handbags and everything. And so we were sitting there one day, and he was waiting on a customer, and I bet he waited on her for 35, 40 minutes, maybe longer. She got up, she said, well, I'll just come back later. And there's all these shoes. So he looked at me, and he said, one day we ought to write a book about our days in the shoe business. And I said, well, what would we call it? And he said, If the Shoe Fits, Wear It. And I forgot about it. Well, 33 years later, I'm sitting on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. My wife's taking a nap, and I'm sitting at the bar, and I thought, man, I'm going to start writing that book. So I pulled a napkin out and asked for a pen and started writing notes. And 2 years later, after getting through with it, I self-published it. And so that's where the first one came from. The second one is called The Bullet. And it's about a .45 caliber bullet issued at the beginning of World War II to a young soldier. And that bullet is not used. It travels through World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and into the streets of Miami, a police officer's gun. And as it travels, it meets 5 people, and you become the bullet. You become familiar with the people. You're right in their business. You're like part of the family. You see everything. And the bullet is handed down in such a unique way that the person who receives it is somehow connected to the person who handed it, but they don't know it. And the bullet goes on through.
Boy, that is unique.
Yeah, and we're in the process. My brother and I are forming a production company. We've already spoken with a screenwriter, and hopefully we're going to be looking at putting it into a feature film. So
Boy, that's incredible.
That's what we're working on now.
Is he a writer too?
No, he is. He's really not. He just believes in what I've done. Matter of fact, he said, "Where did you learn how to write like this?" I said, "Devious mind, man, comes with devious ideas."
In school, were you into writing?
No. I was into getting out of school.
Yeah. No college.
I went 3 months of college, 3/4 of college, and I wanted to get married, have children, and own a shoe store. That's all I wanted to do, and I knew I didn't need a college education to own a shoe store, and I did all three. And so I accomplished those goals, and at that point in time, I was at an age where I didn't need to go back to school. And so I got out of that and got into outside sales and finally went into pharmaceuticals and stayed 30-something years in pharmaceuticals and retired in 2011, early retirement, and moved to a dream spot.
And your profession was a salesman.
Sales, yes. And of course, what really got me started writing, let me back that up. I guess what actually got me started writing again, or at this point, is they asked me to be a sales trainer and train sales reps. And so they said, would you mind writing some sales tips for them? So I wrote sales tips for 2 years for the largest generic company in the world, the United States division, injectable division. So that's what I did. So I thought, well, if I can write for that, I can write for myself.
But you have to have something that allows you to do that. I couldn't do it. So where did you get that initial?
Just mind. Just the things I think about. I write for the paper here as a freelance writer. Had an article come out this morning, and it's just something that will just come to mind, and I'll think, man, that's something that happened to me back in the days. I'll write about that, and the column is called Life Happens, and it doesn't just talk about things that happened in the past. It talks about how things happen in the past and today, and what it was like in the future. So it may include, a lot of things.
Explain that.
Well, growing up, I had 3 brothers, and we were stair-step. And we did anything and everything. Back in the 50s, early 60s, I mean, we could do things and get by with it, and nobody got offended. I mean, I can remember watching a couple of guys down the street feed a kid Gainsburger. They were eating a hot hamburger, and they're feeding him a Gainsburger on a bun, telling him it's a hamburger too.
What's a Gainsburger?
It's a dog food patty. Yeah, and we did crazy things. And his mama got mad at us, but what were they going to do?
Yeah.
Come on, but we just did crazy stuff, and so those are things I write about. How things were back then, how we could do things, and it wasn't, nobody got upset and mad and things. We just happy-go-lucky kids.
Sometimes people say, what do you mean by that? I don't know. I don't even remember I said it. But they're going to examine it.
Right.
What did you mean when you say it, and how did you mean it? And I'm just a dum-dum, man. Don't take what I even say,
Yeah, but we had fun. It was fun. We had a bunch of kids. Maybe 27 kids in the neighborhood. We fought. We were best friends. We could blood each other's nose and get up and pat each other on the back and play ball together. I mean, we just had fun.
It wasn't really a Norman Rockwell painting, but it was a close facsimile.
Yes.
And that's not the way it is today.
No, people are scared to do anything. They're afraid you'll get sued or somebody will accuse you of being biased or whatever. And you can't enjoy life anymore. And that's what the column is about, really, enjoying life. And, look, if I can make you feel good, I've accomplished what I need to do, because, I try to be happy-go-lucky and smile and laugh and greet people. And so I don't want to be down in the dumps, sarcastic. I hope when I become that old man that they have to rein me in, because I'm going to still be as active as I can be. Hey, what's Dad done today? Type thing.
When you retired, how did you get to Cleveland? What's the journey to Cleveland, Tennessee, from Macon, Georgia?
Oh, Lordy, I traveled up through here. In 1985, a company out of Chattanooga called Duff Brothers Drug Company, wholesale drug company, hired me. And I lived in Macon and worked in South Georgia, but I was based out of Chattanooga, and I'd come up here for sales meetings, and I fell in love with Chattanooga. And then I started working up this way, and Cleveland was just fabulous. And I can remember Paul Huff Parkway stopped there at North Lee where McDonald's is. There was nothing up there. And the only thing on Paul Huff basically was McDonald's there on the corner. And next thing you know, it just starts mushrooming. So we, when when we started to move up, I'd been talking about Tennessee for 20-something years. And one Saturday morning, my wife looked at me. She said, listen, I am tired about Chattanooga and Tennessee. If we're going to move, let's move or shut up. And I said, are you serious? She said, yes. I called a real estate company that day and said, hey, can I meet with you Monday morning? So we went up and actually bought a house in Crossville. And things did not work out. They did not do the things they were supposed to do 4 days before closing. So we backed out.
Crossville isn't Cleveland.
No, it's not. And so we came back home. And so I'm sitting in my lounge chair and she's on the couch and we both got our computers out. We're looking for houses in East Tennessee and places to live. And every time we'd say, she'd say, hey, I found one here. I said, where is it? She said, Cleveland. And I'd say, well, I found one too. It's in Cleveland. Every one was in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And so we said, well, maybe Cleveland's where we need to be. So we came up and boom, here we are.
You miss Macon?
No.
Now, the song you wrote,
Leaving Macon?
Leaving Macon.
That was written on the way home from Macon. We go back down there a couple times a year and work with a friend of ours. He owns a huge florist. My wife has always been into floral work ever since she was a teenager. And so I go down, I deliver, I help him route schedules, I do this, I do anything I want to do so she can go and work on flowers. And so coming home, we were talking about how bad Macon had really gotten as far as, it wasn't like it was when we grew up and things. And I said, I think I'm going to write a song about leaving Macon. That's what I did.
Do we have that one, Gwen? We don't have that one.
Yeah. So.
Let me see if I wonder if I can pull it up right here.
Yeah, I wrote it, but I did not do the vocals or recording on it. I have a friend of mine, a couple of friends.
Now that one's on it's got a video and all.
Yeah, I did a video of it, and all it does is shows.
You're in it.
Yeah.
How's that feel to be?
It's cool. My grandchildren will tell me, they call me G. They say, G, you're famous. I said, no, baby, I'm not famous. I just enjoy getting out and talking to people like this and sharing my story, my things. Because if I can encourage somebody to do the same thing, it's worth it.
Well, just to basically enjoy what you do.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to try to. You won't get me for copyright.
No.
Can you see it, Gwen? I'm going to back it up where I see your picture on this thing. I'm not. God. Let's try it again, Glenn. Can you see it? There you are.
That's actually a wedding picture there.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Here you are.
That's it. Love it too.
You cover it all.
Yeah. You'll get to see Allman Brothers museum and house there too. It's Lee Jordan. He's a friend of mine playing the
Lee Jordan.
lead guitar. Yes. That's Allman Brothers' gate to their museum home. That's Otis Redding's statue.
That's a really good song.
tracks, ain't looking back. There's nothing there for me. Foothills and the mountains, Dollywood and Pigeon Forge, the Ryman and the Grand Ole Opry, that's what I'm longing for. Bluegrass music, Ricky Skaggs, Reba and the rest. Tennessee is a place for me.
That's a good video too.
Yeah, I have a guy up in, I took all the pictures, had a guy up in Knoxville.
Put them together.
Macon, Georgia, shaking off the dust, heading north to Tennessee and find a better place for us. Gonna find life in another place and salvage my peace of mind. It looks good in my rearview mirror, I'm leaving it behind. I'm heading out, there ain't no doubt I'm as happy as
There you are again.
can be.
With your wedding picture.
Yeah. Of course, I got permission from her to use that.
Oh, sure, yeah. Now, why is it that you don't hear that on CMT in the mornings?
It is so hard to break into music in Nashville, LA, anywhere. You've either got to be somebody or really know somebody, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm trying to build up people I know, and show you. I subscribe to a magazine, a digital magazine that has people's things, what they're wanting in music and things, but the big stars are all unsolicited. In other words, unless they let you send it to them, you can't send them stuff. They'll reject it. So how do you get your stuff to them if they won't allow you to open the gate to send it to them? They do have the indie artists like myself who are looking for music, but they're not the big name people yet. So I don't know. I've got some friends in the business that are helping me out some, trying to get some of my music to them. I've not pitched that one yet. I want to. That's one of the ones that I want to work on next.
Yeah.
Because I think it's got a great sound to it. It's not country, it's not rock, it's a little bit of both. It's almost like that Southern rock.
That's right.
And so I think it would be a great song. And I would like to do the vocals on it. When I had that done, I just wasn't comfortable singing yet. And now that I've cut the album and done some other songs, I think I could do that again, and or do it myself. So I'm interested in doing it, but I think it'd be a decent song.
You know, it's kind of like reading an audio book where they've hired somebody to read the book. I don't think you get as much out of it as you would if the guy that wrote the book read it.
Well, that's true because they got the heart in it.
There's something there that you can't just, like, Hank Williams Sr., he couldn't carry a tune, right?
Yeah. But he could write a song in 15 minutes and be a hit. But of course, now keep in mind, when Hank Williams Sr. was writing, there was not that many, country music was just coming to its own.
But now that it was in the Depression. We're talking about 19. Do you realize that he, and I don't know if this is true, but this is what I heard, that he sold as many albums as Michael Jackson in the day.
Yes.
Comparatively speaking. And he just lived to be 29.
Yep, that's true.
Think about that.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
he couldn't sing.
Yeah, he could write a song in 15 minutes and it'd be a hit because he had people in Nashville that was working on his team said, "Hank, we need a song." And I think that's great. Conway Twitty, he used to take cassette tapes from anybody. You mail it to him, he would take it, listen to it, where he got some of his biggest songs from.
He's so underrated.
Yeah, but nowadays, you send something to somebody, they'll reject it. Yeah.
Now, what about there's this new song on the radio right now? One of these TikTok people, she's taped the iPhone to her to the tissue box and did a video, and it's like number 10 now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some real people with talent, but you can't find them because these big, I guess, the industry's holding the purse strings.
Well, you hear some of these songs on, and I ask my wife all the time, it gets a little depressing sometimes when you hear these songs on the radio that are just really going great guns and selling on Spotify and all, and they're not really that good, in my opinion.
And don't have the spirit with it.
Yeah, and then I think I can't even get anybody to listen. Not that mine are great or anything, but I just can't get anybody to listen. And
You can't even get them to listen to tell you it's bad.
That's right. So they just don't. But yet somebody like that will get on there and they'll just go great guns. So I don't know. I don't know what it is.
You remember on the Beverly Hillbillies, Jethro's cousin.
Yeah, Jethrine?
The boy, her brother.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he was and they were making him a star, but he couldn't sing. But he had publishers and publicists and everything, and they made him out to be something he wasn't.
Yeah. I think money talks.
Evidently. But with this new age, there'll be 6,000-7,000 people hear this.
Yeah.
What will that do? I don't know.
Well,
but that's a catchy song.
Hopefully that they'll visit my website. They'll go to Spotify. They'll
what
download
is
some of my songs.
Now,
and
I went to your website is
GaryMatheny.net.
.net.
Yes. Yeah.
Why not .com?
It was taken. It was taken, and so I had to get the next thing. I could have gone .biz, but I thought, .net. We'll just go .net. It's a business type thing too, but .com was already taken. There's a Gary Matheny out there that does religious music.
I saw him, because I looked your thing up, but you popped up first.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, hopefully that people that hear this video, this YouTube interview, they'll maybe like one of my songs. They'll go on, they'll buy it. They'll want to purchase my album or whatever. But that's how I'm having to do it now. Is just me market myself.
And do you care where it goes, or are you just doing it?
No. Listen, I've got a guy at over in Ireland that I hooked up with about 3 years ago. He is a marketing consultant on social media. Great guy. He and I formed a great friendship. I've never laid eyes on one another, but we're like best friends. And every Wednesday, he and I have a talk. He has got me on Facebook advertising and things. And one day, about a year and a half ago, I said, man, I don't know if I'm going anywhere with this. He said, let me ask you a question. He said, did anybody in Germany know you 2 years ago? I said, no. He said, how about Ireland or UK or whatever? I said, no. He said, have you looked at your Facebook page? I said, yeah. He says, there's people all over the world that know your name now, listen to your music. He said, all because we've done Facebook advertising and people are listening to what you're doing. And he said, so that's how you build your fan base. And once you build your fan base, then you can utilize that fan base for lots of things. So.
Now, you're not completely unsuccessful at this, obviously. I mean, you're that song, Sing a Lullaby.
Yeah, yes.
Now, that was from your album, what?
Actually, that was Rob, the guy in Ireland. Once we started doing this, he came up to me one day. He said, look, we need to get your music out there. He said, so why don't I do this? He said, why don't I pick out 9 songs and I'll record them, and they're your songs. I'll record them and we'll start marketing those digitally. Well, he had a friend who was a videographer over there in Ireland too, so we sent the music to him, and she did all my videos except for the Leave in Macon. And we sent the music, and she took clips that she had paid for and had the rights to, and she made videos. Well, we put out Sing a Lullaby with Rob doing it, and he sounds a lot like David Bowie. He puts that David Bowie flair to it. And that video hit over 130,000.
Now, there's a fast version and a slow version.
Right.
Which one
he did more of the faster version.
Well, it is really, I like it better than
that's
the
the video
other.
where you see the train, the subway.
Yeah.
That got over 145 to 150,000 views worldwide while it was running on Facebook. So then when I did my CD, I took it and I wanted to do a version of it. So I did a version of it. So we've got 2 actual versions. But yeah, that version he did, he did a great job of it. Yeah, he did a great job.
Is this it? This is good. This is really good. You don't have the video, do you, Glenn? Crank it up, Glenn. Glenn's good at this. If he ever does you a video, it'll go viral.
Well, I've talked about video sometimes.
I like that scene. See, he's going somewhere.
Yeah, I wrote the words and the melody, and he did the rest of it.
I'll go the rest of it.
Go ahead.
Darkness falls, sounds fill the halls of memory again. Life's let me down, the same old pathways again and again and again. Light from the room reveals the gloom that I feel inside of me. Loneliness is a grieving soul, a disease no one can control. Walls start to speak suddenly, voices begin to shout. My mind is in a cell and I can't find my way out. And I hear a lullaby singing softly while I cry. A sweet, gentle lullaby singing softly while I cry.
That's a lot of words putting that stuff together.
Yeah, it's off key. Listen.
I don't need that stuff doesn't even register.
I feel my sin, my mind begins to shout.
But it has a going beat. It's a going. Like you're going. That's right. That's right. Well, him walking in with the suitcase, that he was going. He's on the move. He's trying to be progressive.
Just a little as I stand. I make the bed before I fall, but there's no one for me to call. Suddenly I feel my sin, my mind begins to shout. I'm in a cell, locked
It's
within,
totally
and
different
I
than
can't
what
find my way
the title of the song is.
Then I hear
Well, what you're doing is, in his mind, he's in a depressed state, and in his mind, he hears a song, sing a lullaby, you know, calming him down. I hear a lullaby, calming him down. Someone that really reads.
You know what you are, very.
What?
I figured it out. You are a fitter.
A fitter.
You make it fit.
So, I don't know.
I mean, you had no training in writing books. Opening up a shoe store. I mean, you don't look like a shoe salesman. You don't look like Al Bundy.
No, but my book opens up. I was a shoe salesman before he made it famous.
Well, you were a shoe salesman when shoe salesman wasn't cool. Remember
That's
that
right,
song?
yeah.
Who was that?
That was it? What's her name?
Not Reba McEntire.
No, I see her face. Mandrell, Barbara Mandrell.
Barbara Mandrell. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many good. One of my favorites that nobody ever mentions is Shenandoah. Remember them?
Oh yes, I love Shenandoah. Yes.
You can't beat their music.
No. It's funny you say that though about what I am, a fitter. Last year or year before last, the paper did a big article. They picked me out of all of the columnists and did a big write-up on me. And as I was interviewing with the guy, and he was asking me questions, as you are, he says, "You're just a Renaissance man." And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So now my Facebook page has got Gary Matheny, Renaissance man.
But you're a fitter. You make it fit. Did that come from your sales?
Yeah, I think it did. My parents taught us all, and sometimes I think it's a curse, and other times I don't. But my parents taught us how to see people for what they are, And I guess that helped in sales. In other words, I'll be totally honest with you. If I like you, I'm gonna sit around and talk and shoot the bull with you. If I don't, I'm gonna say, hey man, good to see you, but I got to run over here in 6 hours. I just have this feeling, something's not right. I just don't care for that person. And it's a curse because you wind up, I guess, more judging people, and that's not right. But I know how to size people up, I guess. And that's what we were taught as kids. Our parents taught us. My mother was a very successful businesswoman. She owned 4 Merle cosmetic studios. My dad was a self-made man. He, had grammar school education, but came to be a very top official in the U.S. Air Force civilian, as far as a foreman, supervisor. He could look at a motor, take it apart. Remember how it went? Pretty bad. He built antique cars.
He was a fitter.
Yeah. And so I guess that's where we learned it from. And we started out early at the age of 11.
Just make it work.
Yeah, make it work. That's right. Don't give up.
So if you had a salesman said, "Oh, we don't want," if you were trying to sell this in the pharmaceutical business, they said, "Well, we can't take that because of this and that." You'd come up with a way that they could that they could still take it and come around the back door and still get it in.
Yeah. And another thing I always learned in sales was that your money's your money. I can't make you spend your money. All I can do is make you mad trying to get you to spend your money. So if I can't convince you, then, I come back another way the next time.
So in pharmaceutical sales, you'd think, of course, I'm a layman on that stuff, but I build a lot of buildings for doctors. And I'll be at lunch with them, and the pharmaceutical reps will come in and buy their lunch, and I'm eating too usually. They're not supposed to because they count don't they count the sandwiches?
No. Matter of fact, I know a guy, I used to work with a guy for a short time. I did that. The company bought us out, so they made us go in and call them doctors.
You didn't have the look for that.
No, I didn't like it either. I wasn't a caterer, and these guys were caterers. But he would go out, and he'd go to the doctor's office, okay, I'm going to bring lunch in today. What do you guys want?
Yeah.
They said, well, we would like to have Olive Garden. He said, okay. So he'd go out and buy enough of the family, and then buy enough to take home for his family, too, and charge it off to the company.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's just not right. That's
too much trouble.
Right. Yeah, well, it's not trouble. It's just not right, you know. And so I never was one to want to do that. So they just buy.
Why do they think that's going to make the doctor? I mean, think about this. And I hope none of my people that I work for are listening. But if they'd have got Pizza Hut instead of Olive Garden, would they have not bought the drug?
Well,
I mean, I thought, don't you need the drug that you need?
Yeah, it's a marketing tactic. Somebody decided to do DoorDash lunches, and things. And originally they would just take pizzas in. Then they got where they let the ladies in the office decide what they wanted. And they say, we want Olive Garden or we want Red Lobster or whatever. And of course, they're going to eat free food. So, they're going to get what they want. But I didn't want to buy business. I never was one to buy business.
I'm funny about that too. I want them to want me.
I want to earn the business, and that way it's long-lasting business. And I would tell them, look, I don't want your business today or tomorrow. I want it next week, 2 months down the road, 5 years down the road. I want it forever. And I have to say that when I left, after 30-something years of pharmaceutical business, I left with a good name because I did not tell anybody stories to them to buy things. Mm-hmm. I told them straight about it, and I tried to stay up front, and I respected their wishes, their time, and things of that nature. And so I tried to do the right thing, I guess, if you will. So,
is that business behind you now?
Yes.
The door's shut?
Yes.
The door's shut.
It's like my album, Not Looking Back. That part of life is behind me. I made a great living at it. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing today, because I was successful in it and very, very lucrative in what I did, and was able to save and get into profit sharings and things. But that business is behind me. And sometimes I hate to answer my phone if it's a number I don't recognize. If somebody's calling me, going to offer me so much money I can't afford not to go back to work, and I don't want to do that. I'm having fun working on my time. It's just like Solo Dos Gatos says, the bar stool is where I work. Uh-huh. I'm doing what I want to do.
Aren't you so thankful that you're in a position in life to do
yes,
that? Think of all these people your age that are going to go and get up in the morning and they absolutely hate what they're going to do.
I do, yeah, absolutely. And I had gotten that way, not hated it, but I got to where the business I was in, pharmaceuticals, I was traveling, I was going Monday through Thursday, and it just got to be a pain. Matter of fact, someone asked us, my wife, I've been married 49 years this year. And we dated 5 years before we got married. I was 15 when I started dating her. And so somebody said, how did you do that? And I said, easy. I said, you get a job, you leave on Monday, you come back on Thursday. I said, on Friday, she's so glad to see you, she could just eat you up. Saturday, she says, your clothes are clean. Don't you have somewhere to go?
But boy, between those 49 years, there's a lot of rough roads in there. Good gosh.
And we could have called it quits many times and just,
Do you
walked
think
away. Wouldn't do it.
Anybody that says that they haven't had those times, I guess they're lying.
They're not telling you the straight. No.
Or they're stupid.
And if they tell you they've never argued, that is too.
I hate
don't
to
mind
hear them
that.
say, oh, me and my wife never argue. I think, golly.
Now, you may not have seen it, but they argued.
I'm Italian. It's an art with us.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we look at it as an art form.
There you go.
I mean, I'm good at it.
That's kind of like down in Puerto Rico. I worked down there for a while, and down there they blow the horn just so they like to hear the sound of it. I mean,
You know, that would be a good song about the guy that's getting up to go to work to the job he doesn't like because he's responsible.
Yep.
Think about that. Now, I'm not talking about the Johnny Paycheck
I know,
song.
yeah.
I'm talking about a real serious song about he didn't want to do it, but he got up and he answered the bell. You know.
Well, it's kind of like the song that I wrote, Not Everybody's Blessed.
That's a good one.
It talks about a lady who's in her 30s and she doesn't have a husband. She's got a couple of kids and she's just, struggling. She says, she's not living the good life. And she sees all the things that's going around her and she wonders when she's going to be able to live that good life. And it's another one of those songs.
What inspired that song?
It's just a song that just popped in my head. I was playing some chords, and I remember doing it on a Friday afternoon because my wife and I went out to eat afterwards, and I said, hey, I wrote this song. I said, I'm not really sure if it's got anything to it or not. And it turned out to be half decent. It was not
it's a really good one.
Yeah,
I like In and Out, and I like that one.
Yeah, but it just talks about somebody that's going through the day's struggles. A single mom with 2 children, and the awning's falling down, the chairs on the porch are bad. And, when am I going to be able to live a good life? And it's just kind of something from the heart.
And we know people like that.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, we see them all the time, and they're struggling. But you'd be surprised the ones that don't show it. They just keep on. I mean, they got a couple of children they're responsible for. I don't understand somebody that doesn't take care of their children.
I was at the Waffle House years ago, and the girl that worked there, I can't remember her name, Shirley, and she was about a little younger than me, and it was a Saturday night. She should have been out with
partying, having a good
partying,
time.
or doing what people her age do. And she had an abscess tooth, and it was sticking right out here. And she came over and said, what can I get for you? And I thought to myself, number one, she's a girl that's embarrassed about how she looks. Her tooth's hurting, but she's still working on a Friday night, waiting on her peers.
Yeah.
Now, what makes that girl?
Probably children. Either children or her scruples are so good that she knows she's got to work.
Or did her scruples, or did bad scruples get her there?
I don't know.
We can't answer that. All we can say is that she's going above and beyond. But I never will forget that face. It was so awful. She called me to rent an apartment here 10 years ago, and I said, sure, and I dropped away. I thought, man, I just hate that. But I think later she married a guy, and they're doing well. But, you have to answer the bell. Those saying,
who the bell tolls.
No, the one that says Van Morrison song. It's a ballerina is the name of the song. It says you have to get up and answer the bell.
Yeah.
I think, now there again, I'm interpreting it the way I want to. It's a boxer that's getting beat up, but he just answers the bell.
Yeah.
The bell
Every time
rings.
the bell rings, he gets up.
He gets up.
He gets up.
He's not going to win, but he's going to get up.
He knows that's what he's there for.
He's just going to answer the bell.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to tell him not to answer the bell. So I feel like that's what you're doing. It maybe you don't have to answer the bell and you don't have to write music, but you're answering a bell.
Yeah. You know, someone asked me one time, they said, why are you doing this at such a late age? Excuse me. And I said, well, I'm not doing it to become rich. I said, I'm a rich man as it is. I said, I've got a beautiful family, 2 children, 6 grandchildren. I'm living good. I don't have to work. You know, I said, I worked hard to get where I'm at. I said, I'm not interested in getting famous. I said, I'm famous with my family. I said, now, if fame comes and dollars come, that's great. But I'm not working for that purpose. I'm doing it because I love what I'm doing. And so if I don't make any money, I tell them, I say, I'm going to throw it against the wall. If it sticks, great. If it slides off, it hits the floor, I'm going to keep doing it because that's what I love doing.
Because you're wanting to tell a story and you're wanting to help people.
That's right. And I don't understand when people that are in independence or just starting out, they won't help. People who have made it don't want to step back and help them anymore, but they forget that when they were coming up, they wanted the same thing.
I remember people that helped me,
Yes.
and I don't forget it.
I don't forget it either. I'm not famous. I'm not that successful in doing what I'm doing. I feel successful because I've always wanted to record a CD, and I've done it. So I know I'm successful. I've recorded in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm successful from that standpoint. But I've had 2 or 3 younger people that have said, hey, how did you get started writing your book? Or how did you get involved in music? Can you give me some ideas of what's going on? Well, yeah, I'll be glad to help you. You know, share my knowledge. You know, just because it's like your children. You know, when you tell them don't do something, it's not because you don't want them to do it. It's because you know, hey, I've been there, and you're fixing to fall on your face and get hurt. I'm trying to keep you from doing that. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'll give them all the information I've got so they don't have to fall on their face to get hurt.
But the game that you're playing, the ultimate goal is to see if you can make money at it. Because what else can you go for?
But
it's just a means of measurement.
But I don't get up every morning saying, oh gosh, if I sell this song, I can make $1 million. I don't get up doing that. I think, well, hey, I'd love to be able to get somebody to record this song, then I can make some royalties on it, but I can see it go on the charts.
Not that you need the money, but that's the only way you can keep score.
Right, that's it. Only you can keep score.
Only way you can keep measurement.
That's right. If in a football game, if they don't track you for 4 downs, you don't know where you are.
That's right.
So you got to look up and say, for instance, In and Out, I sent it to a world songwriting contest. I did win, but I was one of the finalists for the quarter. Rosalie, same thing. I wrote a song called You Get to Me. I wrote for my wife. Same thing. I haven't won. My son laughs at me and says, Dad, you're always the bridesmaid. I said, that's right, son, but at least I'm in the wedding party, you know. And so
you're answering the bell.
I'm answering the bell. That's exactly right. Stepping up. If that one don't do it, let's try another one.
And what's the goal? Because we have to be progressive.
The goal?
I mean, you wake up in the morning and you start thinking about this and how can I do this and how can I promote? You're better off than the guy that's not trying.
Yeah.
Do we need something every day that keeps us trying to go forward? I mean, let's face it, none of it matters anyway, right?
Unequivocally, yes. Because there's people my age I went to school with that retired, and 6 months later they're dead.
So
because
you're working.
They didn't do anything.
You're working to stay alive.
With that, plus I'm doing what I want to do. I'm enjoying life. I'm doing my
If
very
you weren't
best.
doing this, would it be something else?
Yeah. I'd be traveling, going places with my wife and things. COVID stopped that. We were already doing some of that too. We'd be going to North Carolina more. I love going out west. I've been out there twice. My brother and I, 2.5-3 years ago.
You ever go to Tucson?
Oh yeah, I've been to Tucson.
Man, I love
yeah,
Tucson.
yeah.
I could move to Tucson today. And
Cody, Wyoming is my favorite.
I like the heat.
Yeah.
I love the heat.
I just love the people and the land. And
Have you ever noticed when you go out to, one thing I noticed, I've been to New York, and you'll be sitting right here, and the next table is right here. And they don't even know you're next to them. And this was before COVID. But you go out to Tucson, everything's spread out.
Yeah.
Even the airports, people are spread out.
Yeah.
Just a whole different thing.
Well, the attitudes are different. The attitudes are so much different. I've been to Cody twice, and they got a little restaurant there called Granny's, and it's a little diner, and it's got the horseshoe type tables, and you can go and sit, and you're sitting beside people who have flown in to go hiking or kayaking, or you're sitting beside somebody that's just motorcycles traveling through, or you're sitting beside somebody that's a local there. And we were there one morning, and there was this guy sitting here, and across the way was an old guy who was Indian, and he had his hat on and everything, eating. And this one over here hollers, he said, "Hey, did you go up to the trout stream yesterday?" "Yeah, I did." "Did you catch anything?" "I ain't telling." And they argue back and forth. I mean, it's just cool, The waitress came up. She was from Vermont. And I don't know why she started picking on me, but I was one at the table she started picking on. And she wouldn't bring my food to me. I said, "Ma'am, everybody's got food." She said, "I ain't bringing your food to you." "Why?" "I don't like you." And then she come back later and she said, "Here, honey, I got it for you." People are different. I love to be around people that have a good time. Because, again, it makes you feel good, and so people that are grumpy, and I think about grumpy old men, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon.
Yeah.
They're just grumpy. Walter Matthau was just grumpy.
What is it that makes people, as they get older, sometimes get grumpy?
I think they see life for what it is. I think they see life for actually what it is. You can't take life at face value.
You have to trick yourself?
No, you just look above the junk.
Give me an example.
Okay, I get up in the mornings, and used to when I was working, I'd bounce out of bed and I'm in the shower singing. Well, I don't do that anymore. I'm older. I'm a little tired. I get up in the morning. I make my way into the kitchen. I get my coffee, and first thing I do is go outside. And 9 times out of 10, I'll turn on the Laugh Channel, whatever it is, with Night Court or something like that. I don't like watching the news anymore. It's too depressing.
Yeah.
It's all junk, so I don't watch it.
Yeah.
And so I'll turn on that, and then at 8 o'clock when Leave It to Beaver comes on, I'll watch Leave It to Beaver for an hour, And that's where I get a lot of my subject matter for my columns, because Wally and Beav and some of those guys are just like we were when we was during that time frame. So, but then I start feeling better, and I start seeing life come about, and I know my day, and so I start being happy. I don't try to be sad.
Which one is the real reality?
I think Living the Beaver is a real reality.
So when we watch the news, because I got to watching the news during that period everybody knows about, and I mean to tell you, everything got depressing to me. And I what I did was I quit watching it. I absolutely quit watching it. And I went to McKay's bookstore in Chattanooga, and I got McHale's Navy. It's not that funny, but it works.
It's slapstick.
They're standing behind a literally wooden box, and they're acting like they're driving a ship.
Well, my wife asked me one time, she says, "How can you enjoy the Three Stooges?" I said, "Because it's stupid." She says, "But it's stupid." I said, "But it gets your mind off of everything else."
I watched Leave It to Beaver too. I hate to see those shows. I watched Gilligan's Island. You forget and the Beverly Hillbillies. You forget how funny those things are.
Well, that was back when comedy was comedy, and you didn't hurt people's feelings.
And I'm not so sure that that's reality. And these news channels are giving us a different sense of reality, because they're already making me think biased. Maybe I can't even look at anything without a bias.
That's right. Well, I was an avid Fox News 24/7. I got up in the mornings when I was getting dressed on the road. I was watching Fox News.
I'm just like it was a religion.
Yeah, I watched talk radio all day long in the car, then back home.
They had me so mad.
Yes. I used to. My wife would say, "I don't want to buy a TV. Just get up and cut it off. I don't want to have to buy a TV because I get so mad." But you know what? When you get away from that and you get out of that culture,
then you've begun to see your life is much, much better.
And the whole world.
Yes, much
You're
better.
not fed this narrative of whatever they're trying to. And if you watch CNN more, they'll feed you more of that. If you watch Fox, they'll feed you more of that. You don't even know what the other side's doing.
My son and my daughter both, they are different than me. I grew up in a culture where, like I said, we learned how to judge people. We were critical, you know, and that's not good, but my kids are not that way. I'll say something to my son, I'll say, Dad, you don't know that person may be having a problem doing this, that, and the other. And it'll make me think, you know, son, you're right. So I wish I could take some of his and put me and some of me and put him.
And you realize that. You're just making a comment.
Sure.
You realize it more than he does, probably.
Yeah, and I'm not being ugly. I'm not trying to be mean-spirited. It's just I'm seeing it for what it is. And he's not. He's looking past it, seeing for what it could be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So
Now let's say it again. Say it again, just so I make sure.
I'm seeing things as they are, and he's seeing things as they could be. So if I'm looking at you right now, I'm seeing you sitting there wearing glasses.
Don't read
he may look up and say he sees you wearing contacts.
And don't look past any more than what's happening right here.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here wearing glasses.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
we don't have to
he
examine
sees things
it,
as it could be, and
or how they tell him it should be.
Yeah. So you can learn from your children.
So when you get away from that stuff, and you get away from what they're. I look at the news almost now as advice.
Right.
And I don't really. I've spent my whole life trying to get advice, and I found out my thinking's about as good as theirs is.
Yes.
You know, there's no sin. You got to be your own preacher, your own teacher, your own doctor, your own
lawyer.
That's
right. Yeah.
Your own everything. You've got to do it on your own.
Now, I've got a brother, Mickey, the one I told you about, that's doing all the things with me.
Yeah.
Now, you talking about a lawyer? He's not. He works for himself. He has a nut and bolt rep company, has for years. But if I need a lawyer, I would send my stuff to him first. And if he couldn't answer something, then I'd go to a lawyer, because this guy would read encyclopedias for pastime. I mean, it's just amazing.
Tell that story you was telling before the show started about you seeing him out of town. That is so weird.
We both traveled, and one morning I was on the way to Birmingham on I-20, and he was coming back out of Birmingham on I-20. And as we got around Douglasville, Georgia, I looked up and I saw his car coming east. I thought, that's strange. That's Mickey. And so I got on the phone and I called and said, hey, where are you at? He said, I'm just now coming on the Douglasville exit. I said, I just passed it. How about getting off at the Chick-fil-A and have a cup of coffee?
Did you stop?
Yeah, we did.
Well, aren't those good times?
Yeah, heck yeah, man. You know, just
doesn't matter if the coffee's good or not.
Yeah, just getting together. And so that's happened a couple of times. But it's just fun when things happen spur of the moment. That's the best time. Spur of the moment trips.
You know, when you go out of town or you're going on a trip, a vacation, you don't really remember the trip, but you remember that flat tire and how you had to get the car fixed. Those are the things you remember.
I've had some of those happen.
Why is it those are
We
more?
call them trips from hell.
But that's what you remember, isn't it?
That's exactly right. Never forget those.
But that's life.
But see, that goes back to the music and the stories. Those are the things that you write about, because those are things that are funny. And you can write about and laugh and make jokes about them, but you want to tell the world about them. And another thing too is the music. You can look back on the stories it tells, and the kids and grandkids down the road, they can say, now, my granddaughter, I got Addie, she's a twin, her and Cassie, but Addie loves In and Out. I mean, when that song first came out, that child would get her little friends on her Pinterest page or something, go on my G's website, In and Out, and she'd sing In and Out. And all these little children going to my website looking at In and Out. But they remember those things, and that's down the road. If our world survives that long and they become moms and dads and have children and grandchildren, they can say, hey, you know, this is what your G did back then. You know, the legacy.
Is that what they call you, your G?
They call me G, they call me G. And so I told them, I said, I don't care what you call me, but my daughter got them to call me G, and that's the sweetest sound in the world, G. You know, but the legacy is what I'm after. I may never see a dime off my music. I may not, but down the road, like I say, if we make it that long, they may. Somebody may say, wait a minute, that's something really good. It may come full circle. Who knows?
Do you copyright these songs?
Oh, yeah.
How do you do? What's that process like?
I go through the website, the copyright in Washington, D.C., and they've got it set up to where you can do so many for a price or one for a price. But I never send it to anybody until it's copyrighted. And then I go through a licensing company, BMI, out of Nashville, and I license it through them. That way, if it's ever played, then BMI gets it because it's got metadata on the song, and that metadata tells the name of the song, name of the album, the person, and that's where the royalties go back into BMI. That's where I get paid if they play something of mine on radio or somebody buys something. So, but yeah, I always, and don't let people tell you, well, if you mail it to yourself or email it to yourself, that's you try to hold that up court. You know, you need to copyright it. Spend the money and copyright it. Make sure that you.
What does it cost to copyright a song?
It'll cost $45 to $55 to copyright a song. And then sometimes you can do 10 songs for $65. You know, like I say, they've got.
But how do they come up with so many combinations of songs?
It's just ideas in their head. It's just ideas that float around their head.
I guess new ideas because new technology. You know, they weren't singing about cell phones 20 years ago.
True. So true.
Or 30 years ago.
And who knows? John Denver made big hits out of singing about the mountains in Colorado and things like that. And so people has different tastes.
What about his song "Eagle and the Hawk"? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Boy, that is. If you want to hear somebody sing, you can't. He has no match when he sings that song.
No. Well, he didn't have a match at all. I mean, he's that good. But
he never. Of course, he was big he was big when he should have been playing rock and roll.
Oh yeah, he was doing ballads. Yes.
He was in a whole different time and still made it.
But he couldn't play rock and roll. It wouldn't be John Denver.
No.
He wouldn't be able to do it. And just like Seals and Croft, well, no, Seals and Croft probably could, but Greg Allman couldn't have done ballads.
Now, Seals and Croft, that John Ford Coley and who's the other guy?
Was it David Croft or was it? I think it was David Croft. John Ford Coley, David Croft.
Which songs? That was the mid-70s.
Mockingbird, right? Not Mockingbird, but Hummingbird, and I'll Play for You, and some of those. They were excellent songs. Yeah.
They were really good. They were really artists.
Yeah.
You know, there's some people. The music's good. Some people the lyrics are good. Some people. That person's got that personality that just works.
Yeah.
You don't know the combination.
You have to find it.
And it may be different in different eras. Could Elvis make it today with his songs?
I don't know. I don't know if he could or not.
I don't know either.
Because people are doing more, the style of music different. And most of the people that, even overseas, that are listening to my music and liking my music are people our age. They're looking for the good music where they can hear a sound and a story and understand the words. I tell my wife all the time, I listen to music on radio and it all sounds the same. It's monotone, it's flat. There's no up and down, it's just flat. And I said, I don't understand that. It sounds monotone. But they're making money on it. So I don't know what the combination is.
And they're adding so many of these beat boxes and
and see, nowadays recording is different than it used to be too. See, it's all done digital. Whereas before,
what is this auto tune? What does that do?
As far as the
like they'll say, listen to this song without them on auto tune. It really blends the music somehow.
Yeah. What they're doing, they're mixing it. What they're doing is, I think that's what you're saying. But used to, they'd take the drums and all that, and they still do in Nashville. Like I say, the last 3 songs I've done up there, they've done that.
There wasn't a drummer?
Oh, yeah. Drums, bass, lead, keyboards, rhythm, and they put the music together. When I go up and do music up at Nashville, we lay the tracks first. And then once they get the tracks laid and get all the balance and everything on them, then you go back up and do the vocals. And then once the vocals are done, then they take it back and they mix it, they master it, and they blend it.
But what if you got to perform it live? And it doesn't sound quite the same.
No, but you're in a huge place with acoustics or
nobody's noticing.
Nobody knows. They're listening to the song and who's doing it, and so it's got to sound good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not studio quality. Now, I don't understand when how they do the live, and I guess they can still mix
I don't know.
it because
I don't
it doesn't
know.
sound as good.
Can they do that, Gwen?
Yes.
They can
Yeah.
still do that.
Yeah.
So
But it
you're not
doesn't-
even. What was it? What was it? The group that came out and they weren't really singing it. And they had everybody
What
full.
was they with that group? Huh?
Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, Milli Vanilli. Yeah, they were pantomime. They would do it. Yeah.
I don't know why they couldn't just let the guy that was singing it sing, because they had really good songs.
Well, you know, Jan and Dean did that when was it Jan that had the car accident and got paralyzed, and they brought him back out, and so they got on stage, him and Dean, and they started doing the songs.
That's
and he was
right.
pantomiming, and the people realized it, and they booed him off the stage.
And nowadays, it's no problem.
No. Well, you look at the Dick Clark and American Bandstand and all those. That's all they did. They pantomimed, and if you don't believe me, watch their lips. You know, look at the Partridge Family. They're doing the same thing. They're pantomiming it.
What about the Partridge
I
Family?
love them.
I love the Partridge
I
Family.
loved them. I got so mad because on Saturday morning that was my routine. At 7 o'clock or 7:30, Partridge Family would come
You know,
on. And
he,
took it off.
you know, didn't he leave that? Didn't that show have to be canceled because he wanted to go out and be a singing star?
I don't know.
He wanted to go solo. What was his name? Danny
David
Partridge?
Cassidy.
David Cassidy.
David Cassidy. You know, he was Shirley Jones's stepson.
The daddy?
Yeah, he was Cassidy's son, and when he
his-
married Shirley,
That's right. Shirley was his mother.
stepmother. Yes, yes.
Now, what about Danny Bonafucci?
Danny Bonafucci is just a cool guy. That's all he was.
You know, you used to see him on the internet a lot.
Yeah, he had a talk show. I think he
Yeah.
had some kind of a.
He was cool, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was. But I think he got mixed up in all kind of substances and things.
Somebody
and
said he was living homeless for a while,
probably was.
sleeping in a car.
Probably
I
was.
wonder what he's doing today.
I think he's still got a talk show, but I think it's out of California somewhere. And it's not a big, widespread national type talk
I wonder
show.
if I could pay him to come in here.
I don't know, man. You might
I
could.
might beat him up.
But I still love. I get a lot of my material from life experiences, and that's when I write. You know, and I'll get an idea and I'll just play on it. And like I say, I'm not great. I just enjoy doing what I'm doing. If it comes out good, I really think Solo Dos Gatos is a good one. I think In and Out was a good one.
Are you a pretty good singer? Do you sing some of those songs?
Oh yeah, I do. Solo Dos Gatos. I've taken all.
Did
but
you have any singing lessons?
No.
Do you know what a C is or a B?
I couldn't tell you on a scale. I sing in the choir at church and
Where do you go to church?
First Baptist. Yeah, we sing in the choir.
How many members they got there?
Oh gosh, I think 4,000, 5,000.
You don't even know them all, do you?
No, heck no. You know you people that you see. You see a lot of folks. You recognize faces.
Have you always been Baptist?
No.
When did you become Baptist?
I'm not really Baptist. I'm a believer. I'm not labeling myself. I believe.
Now you believe there's a God.
Oh heck yes.
Do you have any proof?
Yes. The things he's done for me and for you and everybody else. Listen, if anybody can believe that a rock created everything, then listen, I got some swampland down outside of Orlando that I can make you a deal on.
There's something else besides
I
that.
had rather, and I know this sounds cliche, but I'd rather believe that and be wrong than not believe that and be wrong. So my point is, I was taught, I read, I've seen things happen in my life that answered prayers, and so I've got no doubt or no reason to believe otherwise.
Were you raised religious or a
Yes.
certain?
Yes, I was. And my family, the old right now lay me down to sleep was done every night. Every night, religiously. My mom would not ever miss a night doing that. And I did it with my children. And, look, if you don't have something to believe. If you don't have something to believe, then you're doomed anyway, whether it's in religion, whether it's in the government, whatever.
Or writing music.
Right, you're doomed.
You have
because
to
you've
be-
got nothing to hang on to. Got nothing to hang on to. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm like the scared monkey. I'm holding on so tight that if I used to try to pull it away, they're gonna have to dig my fingernails out of the bar. That's what.
But you have personal proof.
Yeah, I've had prayers answered. My little granddaughter developed. She's a twin, and about 5 years ago, they found a mass on her chest, on her right side of her heart. They didn't know what was wrong. She started getting out of breath and hard to breathe and things. So they went into some scans, and they thought she had cancer. Here she was, 8 years old,
God.
8 years old and a twin. And they said we can't operate because of where the mass is. If we do, then it could damage nerves and paralyze her, or it could kill her because the nerves are right around the aorta. So they said we're going to leave it like it is and continue to watch it, make sure it doesn't grow. Well, it started growing and she started having a problem breathing. So they had to go in 11 hours later. They took all of it out, but about that much. And the child, within a month, was doing cartwheels.
What happened to that spot?
Still there, I guess. We had with COVID and all, they haven't been back to have a scan because of all the deal with hospitals. But when they go back, it had not grown any. And so, she was spared. And I think that, for a reason. At 18 years old, I had a car accident. I went off a 40-foot bank doing 80 miles an hour and flipped end over end and then rolled the rest of the way down and came out with a broke nose. Now, why was I spared? Most folks, the windows was open, no seatbelt on, because back then we didn't have to wear seatbelts. And I could have been thrown out, car down top of
40 feet?
Yeah, it was a 40-foot bank straight down.
You remember?
Yes, I do.
You remember going like this?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. My first thought was to reach around and hold on to the seat and hold on. And as it flipped end over end from the nose to the back on its wheels, I remember saying, I'm dead.
What was you hanging on to?
I reached around, laid down in the bucket seats. It was no console, it was just a gear shifter.
Yeah.
And I grabbed the seat here and I reached around and grabbed the seat behind me and I just held on as hard as I could hold on. And that car started flipping. And when it come to a stop, I did not knock me out. I climbed out because I was afraid it was going to catch on fire and climbed to the top of the hill. And somebody saw it and called an ambulance and the police as they saw it, and they came and got me. So I'm saying I was left here for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. Who knows? I may find out one day. I may not. But
we have to have our own proof.
That's right. That's right.
I can't give you proof.
And all I can do is tell you what he's done for me and how I feel when it's done, how I feel when I'm getting it done. And so I'm not one of these people that goes around and just constantly talks about it all the time, because I'm not going to run you off because you don't believe.
I can't convince you because you got to have your own proof.
That's right. So, if my actions and things don't, show you, then that's, I can't do a whole lot. So, but I'm not from what you call a Bible thumper or something, but I am a full-fledged, all-in believer. Do I do things wrong? Absolutely. But that's.
I'd hate for people to know what all we do wrong, wouldn't you?
Yes, that's true. That's true.
What about? I keep hearing about this Exit 10. What is that?
That's the song "Ode to Atlanta Traffic" I told you about. I wrote going through.
Yeah.
I had a guy that I sent it to. That's a prolific songwriter, had some #1 hits, and they did a contest, and he was one of the judges, and he gave a review. And so when I sent the song to him, he said, man, I like that song. He said, but it needs to be cleaned up, this, that, and the other. He said, I'd change the title to Exit 10 because it talks about getting off at Exit 10. And I said, that's pretty cool. So I did, and that's where that came from.
Is that a specific Exit 10?
No, it's just rhyme with something.
Yeah. Because that's in Chattanooga, I think.
No, it's in
Exit.
Atlanta. Well, Exit 10 might be in Chattanooga, but the song is based in Atlanta, going through Atlanta.
Let's take 5. What's the name of this one?
Then She'd Know.
Then She'd Know.
In the morning, in the early fall, underneath the tree that stands so tall, I saw her.
Whose sing is that? Is that right?
I'm singing it, yeah.
Hair blowing in the autumn wind, she looked like a goddess, totally thin, and I saw her by the lake. just notice me look into my eyes, and then she'd see my love. Then she'd know. Reach out, take my hand, we'll walk together through the sands of time. Then she'd know. What a gift to get real close with just one little kiss. Just a moment's pleasure in a world that don't exist. But I know. Yes,
Coming up
I
in a second.
know. But I know. Yes, I know. Then she knows I love her so.
Isn't that awesome?
That's the Santana flavor, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the morning, in the early fall, underneath the tree that stands so tall, I saw her by the lake. And blowing in the autumn wind, she looked like the goddess tall and thin, and I saw her by the lake.
I love that saxophone.
That is good.
That is awesome, awesome saxophone. Sounds like a lot like Candy Duffer when she does some of her music. And of course, the other one is Rosalie, where he starts off with those Spanish horns. That
You have a difference. I think I heard a calliope in one of them. Is there a calliope in
you
one of
probably
them?
did in the Solo Dos Gatos.
Yeah.
You probably did. One of the things I had a friend of mine told me, he said one of the biggest problems that a songwriter does, and he said it's not your fault, but you all seem to gravitate back to writing the same type sound. You know,
Kiss did that.
yeah, and everything sounded alike, and so you got to be very careful. So I try to put the melody in the rhythm and things so that it has a different sound to it. So therefore, I'm doing some that are a little more country, some a little more of a Latin flair. The Solo Dos Gatos with the Caribbean flair. I'm doing some with the 80s, early 90s sound, like In and Out.
Yeah.
Then She'd Know and things. But as a kid, I never imagined playing in a rock and roll band. Now, you're going to think it's funny being as a kid growing up, but I always imagined myself as the kind of singer like Julio Iglesias or Johnny Mathis, having the orchestra behind you and singing good songs, being out in front of people singing, just, not playing.
Now that's unusual.
Yeah, and I loved it. I mean, I didn't want to dress in the jeans and all that. I wanted to be the guy that when you looked up, he was singing the good songs that made you think and made you remember. And so
But where did you get that?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I played a rock and roll band coming up. I sang, vocalist, and played rhythm guitar. I don't know. I don't know, but that's what I really always envisioned myself doing. Good songs, and those songs like In and Out, Then She'd Know, You Get to Me. You haven't heard that one, but You Get to Me. Those are songs that are good, wholesome songs that have a story, a love meaning to it, or this guy. Then She'd Know. My envision there was, sitting there seeing this woman, this beautiful woman in a long flowing white gown, standing there looking at the water, and you're looking at her, you're fantasizing, you love her, but she don't know it. She didn't know you're around, but you're sitting there having that fantasy that I'm in love with her. What I'd give to make her mine, type thing.
And it says Then She'd Know. She might still not know.
Yeah.
So that's even another bridge you got to go across.
So that's the type of stuff I like to do, and I'm not into big rock and things like that. I write because I write what I feel. I guess that's the best way, Dee. If you really want to know, I write what I feel,
and hope that people enjoys it and it gives them some inspiration.
Yeah.
What do you think is one of the songs that inspired you the most? Is there such a thing, or is it just all?
No, people talk about their favorite songs. I've got my favorite songs, because the ones that make you, that you feel good singing or you feel good playing. There's songs like the one that you mentioned, Not Everyone's Blessed. That to me, I didn't feel like it was one of my better songs. It had a good story to it and all, but I didn't feel like it was one of my better songs. I liked In and Out. I mean, In and Out was something that was catchy.
I like that.
It was not slow. It was not fast. It was just a good beat song.
Good beat.
Then
Good rhythm. Had a good rhythm.
Yeah. Rosalie was more of a just kind of mysterious song about a guy down in the Mexican canteen and he saw this. Oh, and there's a great story behind that too. The video, I wanted to find a dancer. And so I got to looking online for a dancer, and I came across this lady that dances flamenco.
I bet that went over well. You got all kinds of stuff there.
Yeah, so she dances flamenco. So I found out who she was. I was on YouTube and I found out her name, and so I Googled her on Facebook, and I found her. And I wrote to her, I said, look, I'm a singer-songwriter. And I said, I've written a song called Rosalie. I said, let me send it to you. I said, I would love to see if you would allow me to use your dancing in the video. And,
You're a fitter.
yeah, and she come back and she said, yeah. I said, well, what can I pay you? I want to pay you something. So I paid her a couple $100.
And she's
I've
got now
rights.
that
I've got a contract with her. I've got rights to use her song on anything I want, her dancing on it. And so we did the video, Rosalie.
she wears the red shoes, don't
Yeah, she's got the red dress
Yeah.
on and red
Do we
shoes.
have that video, Gwen?
Yeah, it's a fabulous song, but it's got more of a Mexican or Latin flair to it.
Or Tucson, Arizona?
Yeah, there you go. But the Spanish horns are great. Here it comes.
Had you met her
Have I met her?
at all in person?
But she's been very, very encouraging.
Where's she from?
Brazil.
Is that right?
The cantina was dark and cold and everyone looked real old, and I saw her, Rosalie. Her hair was dark, her eyes were
She
bright,
fits the bill.
sparkling like the stars on a moonlit night. She
Yeah,
was
tattoo.
smiling
And
at
the
me,
boots.
Yeah.
With that choreography.
Rosalie. Looked like trouble that I didn't need, dancing across the room, staring at me. A cat on the prowl, stalking his prey. Rosalie. A night of romance, it cost me. We drank tequila, and then we danced, and I watched the sun come up with Rosalie. She danced and twirled across the floor. She was smiling at me, and I wanted more. Making moves and staring into my eyes. Rosalie. I knew she was no good for me, but I was blind, and I couldn't see, and I held on to Rosalie. Looked like trouble that I didn't need.
She's dancing the way you were seeing her. Not necessarily the way she was, but that's the way you were seeing her.
Yes.
Genius.
Oh, my Rosalie. She looked like trouble
That's
that
actually a live video of her
didn't
dancing in a
need.
club.
Dancing across
Is that
the room,
right?
Yes, it's a live video that I was able to download the YouTube video and send to my videographer over in Ireland, and she pieced it together like this. So it is perfect.
She did a really good job. We need to send it to her. You have
Oh
it.
yeah, yes, yeah.
Rosalie.
Maybe she gave me a very, very big compliment as to my writing and things. Tell me, she said you're a very, very good writer to write something like this. So, and that made me feel good too. Feel like I've done something that
Are you familiar with Rick Bragg, by any chance?
No.
He's from. He writes a book, Ava's Man. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning.
Really?
He writes about. He mentions Macon, Georgia.
Does he?
He mentions Anniston, Alabama.
Yeah.
Atlanta, Georgia. All that Chattanooga. It's a true story, but You remind me of him. You sort of look like him. I'll tell you this story. I really like his writing, and I went to Birmingham where they had a signing where you could get him to sign your book.
Right.
Well, I didn't know there was this kind of a club. I just somehow or another got a ticket. Well, he never showed up. So I didn't even know if I was at the right place, to be honest with you. But I knew they were in there, but he wasn't there. So I get on the elevator, and I'm going to go back up to my room. And he walks into the elevator. This is the true story. So I'm going up, we're going down the elevator. And I said, "Excuse me, are you Rick Bragg?" And he said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Well, I'm here to get you to sign my book." He said, "Thank you." And he got off the elevator. He didn't even sign my book. And I was too, I was
mesmerized.
I was almost, to me, I was starstruck, as odd as it may sound. Have you ever been starstruck?
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, it's a weird thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about earlier how the artists of today are not like the artists of yesteryear. Mm-hmm. Sonny James, he's out of Leeton, Alabama. He's the one that wrote the song Young Love.
Oh.
Which was one of the first songs I learned to play, and my dad was so proud that I could play. "Son, play Young Love."
Did he sing it?
Oh, yeah. And
powerful voice.
Yes, country gentleman. Mm-hmm. I mean, so anyway, my mom used to love to go to the country music shows when they would come to auditoriums around town and things. And so nobody would want to go with her but me, and I'd go with her. And I'd go and see it. So at intermission, she'd say, "Son, go up and talk to that man at the stage." So I'd get up and I'd go down a little bitty fella like this, and I'd say, "Hey, Mr. So-and-so," he'd go, "Yeah, son," he'd talk to me. Well, Sonny James came to make an auditorium. And so at intermission, she said, "Son, go down and ask Mr. James if he knows your uncle, Lloyd Peck." Okay. So I went down there and I said, "Mr. James, do you know my Uncle Lloyd Peck?" And he stooped down. He says, "Son, I have played on the porch of your uncle's house." He said, "Many a Sunday afternoon." Said, "We went to high school together." And I can remember as a little boy on Christmas, we very seldom got to go to see our grandparents because, back in the days, you didn't just pack up the car and go. It was hard. It was especially when you got 4 boys. Yeah. And so I can remember sitting in my grandmother's big room with a big pot-bellied stove, the only room in the house that was heated in December at Christmas time. And all my aunts and uncles and cousins and all, we'd gather around, they'd all sit in a circle, and they'd pull the mandolins out, they'd pull the fiddles out, and they'd pull out the guitars, and they'd sit there and sing. And of course, all the kids didn't want to sit and listen, but I was mesmerized. I just love music. And to go back there now, I could get so much more out of it than I did when I was a kid. I mean, to me, it was just music back then, but I loved it. But my uncle played music, and we came. Matter of fact, I've got the story goes in my family where I had a cousin that wrote the song "Honky Tonk Angel," and she sent it off to a publisher back in the day, a magazine, and they recorded it. She never got credit for it. Now I don't know how true that story is, so I don't want anybody to come back and say, "Oh, we're going to sue you for that." I don't know how true, but that was a story that's passed down through my family for years. That song was sent into a publisher, and that publisher did not give credit to her. He sold it.
Now you said when you have 4 boys.
Yeah.
But you said earlier there were 3 boys.
Yeah, my older brother was killed on a motorcycle at age 29. And he had a set of twin boys, aged 10 years old at the time. And so he was the oldest. And we were all so different. I tell everybody, I say, I don't see how we all came from the same mother. We're all so different in what we do. My younger brother is handicapped. He had cancer at the age of 12, but he could play an organ. He learned how to play the organ with one hand, like you and I could. I can play guitar with 2. He's just that good. My oldest brother, he couldn't sing a lick. My middle brother, Mickey, he likes music, but he's not musically inclined either. I'm the one that came out with the writing and the music. So I guess being all different, but we all have different ways of doing things. But I do those old days of hearing music and that old music. It's just, to me, it's just so special.
And I like hearing it on the radio where it's not real clear.
I like cracking.
Why is that?
The cracking, because it's authentic. It's authentic. I mean, it's the way it was. Look, the kids nowadays may not want to go back and visit the old, and I find myself in restaurants sometimes, and I like to cut up with the waitresses and things. I'll hear a song being played, and I'll say, "Hey, do you know who that is?" And somebody will say, "Gary."
Yeah.
They're 18 years
Yeah.
old, and
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. But I just love music, and I love telling people nowadays, the younger generation, they don't know, but we reminisce. Like
And
you
they,
said,
and they will too.
that's right. Like you said at the beginning of this interview, songs will take you back somewhere and make you remember things. You place yourself back. Look, I can smell something and it'll bring back a memory. I can see something, or I can just have a feeling. I'll see something outside and I'll say, "Man, I remember so and so one time we did this," and it brings back this warm feeling of something, and then you relish in it for a short time.
And that can help you sometimes.
Yes, it heals.
There was
It
this
heals.
guy that wrote a book about, or a lady that I forget, and I may have this all messed up, but she had this big problem. So she gets in the car and she just starts driving.
Uh-huh.
She stops somewhere and she doesn't know what to do. And she somehow or another runs across or gets close to a plum and she smells the plum. And that smell took her back to an earlier age, that took her back to something that she learned. And it helped her with that problem.
Absolutely, yeah. Memories heal. I really believe they do. I think memories heal. They hurt, but they heal too.
How can they heal?
Well, I think that you can remember things, and if you're hurting, and you're down in the dumps and you're having a bad day, and then you remember something back, a song or a memory that was really good, it can heal you. It can make you feel better. Now, you may go right back to what you were doing before, but it'll heal. But if you'll think about it, if you have a memory and you go backwards and it makes you feel good, usually when you come out of that, you've forgotten about the problem that you had earlier.
And maybe it doesn't seem so big. You say, "Oh, I'll just do this.
Yeah.
That'll solve that."
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Or that time that I heard that song, I had a similar problem, and it worked out.
Memories tend to heal. They tend to heal. So.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Memories heal.
Yeah. I love to go back and think about.
That's the next
That
title
great song?
of your new song.
Yeah.
Memories heal.
Yeah. But I love to go back and think of things. I think that's why I like watching the old programs.
And smell. And and I can eat macaroni and cheese, the real Kraft macaroni and cheese, and eat Pringles and pork and beans.
Yeah.
Now, why that brings back a comfort feeling to me, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember why that made me feel good, but it makes me feel good today, and that's not even a combination that people eat.
Yeah. No, I can buy a Coca-Cola and pour peanuts in it, and I can go back and see myself as a little boy sitting on the curb at the service station my dad did business at, while he's in there talking with the guys and smoking cigarettes and talking about this, that, and the other. And the kids are sitting on the curb. He done bought a Coke pack, and just think about the old days, And then I think about how I taught my kids how to do that, because it's something that I had learned. And so, yeah, memories heal. I'm a firm believer that memories heal.
And that's what you're trying to give, maybe.
Could be. I just enjoy what I do. If I don't feel good, I'm sick or something. I'm sick. If I'm not in a good mood, then something's wrong. Now, does that mean that I'm always in a good mood? No. I get down like anybody else. I'm not Superman. But
What gets you down?
sometimes I think, why is it? I'm doing all this stuff. I'm spending all my time writing music and this and that. I'm not going anywhere. What's it doing? But I don't think that's me feeling that. I think that's something making me feel that. Because usually I'll try to snap out of it. I may not go in my music room this afternoon because I just don't feel like I'm going anywhere with it, and then I'll recoup for the next day. Those things will get me down, but usually when I walk away from something and get my mind off of it, I go back to feeling good again. unless it's really a bad problem that I just don't know how to handle.
Do you get to thinking you're wasting your time?
Yes. And I'm sure everybody does that. I mean, I think that's a fact of life. That you start doing and you get to a point where you say, I've done all I can do. I can't do anything else. And then you feel like you're at a dead end and you're not going anywhere else, and then you get kind of depressed about it. But then all of a sudden something breaks, and
maybe you forget the point that started you out.
I think that's it. I think people get overwhelmed. Look, I'm one of these people that when I do something, I go all in. And my dad used to tell me all the time, he says, son, you need to slow down. Don't do things so much all at one time. And I would tell him, I said, Dad, there's people behind me want my spot. If I slow down and get behind, it's harder to catch up if I get behind. But if I stay ahead of them, I'm ahead of them. That's why I'm having to constantly do this. So I guess I've been a workaholic all my life, so I put 115% into everything I do. And so if I'm writing a song, I'm not just writing a song at 80%, I'm going to write a song at 115%. If I'm writing a column, it's not 80%, it's 115%. I'm going to get in there and give it the best I got and get it done.
Now, like on Facebook, all of this is not just writing songs. That's one part of it.
Right.
You have to upload something on Facebook, manage the Facebook. Somebody may message you, something like that. You make this album. Is this you here?
Yeah.
Where's that picture at?
Lee Jordan, the guy that was doing the lead guitar on Leaving Macon, he's got a little studio. We call it the barn, and we go in there. And we just garage band recordings and things. And he knows how to mix and master. And so I was telling him one day, was up there doing a song, and I said, hey, I want some pictures of it in the studio so I can use them on my Facebook page and things. And he says, okay, well, he was trying to play at the same time, so he couldn't take pictures. When he got through, he said, hey, get the truck, let's go. Well, this guy's got like 100 acres of land down in Monticello, Georgia. So we're going down through there, and he's got an old horse, and he's got me taking a picture with a horse, and sitting on a tree stump with my guitar, and this, that, and the other. And as we started to leave, I said to him, I said, Lee, would you get a picture of me walking away from you with my guitar on my shoulder? He said, sure. So we did, and it captured that sunlight perfectly. Just
and
like
you're not looking back.
No, I'm not looking back. And so he emailed me later, and he says, hey, man, he said, that song looks like you're walking to heaven. I said, that's a great song to write. So I kind of thought about writing it. But then when I did my album, my wife and I were talking, I said, don't you look at this picture? I said, that's a perfect picture, not looking back. I'm walking away from it all. So, and as I told you, my life before this is in the past.
Not that it was bad.
No. I'm just done with that. I'm ready for something new. And so I'm not looking back. I'm going forward.
And you're going forward into the sunlight.
There you go.
Is that you on the back too?
Yeah. That's one of the pictures he took while I was there. That was before the beard. My wife keeps telling me, she says, I'll be glad my husband comes back. I said, well, you tell me before he comes so I can be gone.
Now, where can somebody buy these at? Or they download them and pay the $1.29?
iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Geezer, most any of the
Amazon?
Yeah, iTunes.
How do you get it on Amazon?
My producer who did it, he has connections with all these different places, and we loaded up through something called TuneCore. And TuneCore is kind of like DistroKid. They load things onto the different platforms for you. You add it onto there and pay a subscription fee, and boom, they spread it to all of them. It's like went out like 40 different social media platforms that do music.
So this guy's sort of a handler, if you will.
Yeah, he's the engineer. He owns the studio, and great guy. Matter of fact, Brother Stan, who did a lot of the arranging on this, he has played at Dollywood. He plays at Country Tonight. On the song that you just heard, Then She'd Know with the guitar, that guy plays at Country Tonight up in Pigeon Forge. And so they put it together, and Scott, the producer, engineer, he puts it all together, and then he takes it and sends it out.
Now, my uncle did that, Jack Ornby. He wrote a couple of songs, and he put it on this one group that everybody can go and see if
Right.
they like it. What would be the name of that? I can't think of what.
I don't know. They've changed. There's so many with digital and the social media platforms. I don't know. They've changed so many of them. But yet you can go on to my website and you can buy the album. You can buy individual songs off of it.
So so if you go to your website, you can buy this CD.
Right.
And so you have to. Would you PayPal? Is that how it's done?
Yeah,
or American
yeah,
Express?
yeah, PayPal,
So you had to
charge
learn
card.
all that.
You had to learn how to download all that stuff down and everything.
Were you familiar with all that?
No. I was some of it, but not. I didn't know how to do it. A lot of that stuff embedding things into the website. I don't. That's why I got a website guy. That's down in Florida. That's working on some of that for me.
Do you have to pay him?
Oh yeah. That's his job, and of course, everybody's got the handouts.
Everybody's got to make a living.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's
These
fun.
people are making money off of your hobby
Hey,
at this point.
At this point, you're exactly right. My wife keeps saying, "How much more?" Well, it's not how much more. It's like a friend of mine, and they used to play in Nashville, would tell me. He'd say, "Look, you hit one time. One time's all it takes. Then they're gonna start coming to you saying, what else you got? What else you got? What else you got?"
You probably spend less on this than most people do on golf.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not a lot.
I mean, you can spend as much as you want or as little as you want. Depends on how fast and how far you want to go.
Maybe you ought to do what was it? Justin Bieber threw some eggs at something.
Yeah.
That's how these people get more known.
Well, that's what Facebook does. The guy over in Ireland told me, he said, "Gary, he says, you need to be posting on Facebook several times a week." He said, "Not just music, crazy stuff. Show you and your wife going out to dinner. Show you doing something crazy." I don't know if you looked at my Facebook page.
I did.
but
You did a thing about the
jackets.
The jacket.
Yes, I loved it. And what I did was I just came up with an idea when I go. I liked. My wife says I like to be noticed. Well, maybe so, but
But you didn't.
yeah. And I went out and I.
But you weren't trying to be noticed before.
No.
Even your pictures you don't even have showing your face.
Yeah. But I thought, well, I'll put some of that crazy and just how many folks
Yeah.
would. Well, lo and behold, I put a couple of jackets on and said, "I'm thinking about getting one of these jackets." And then people start saying, no, or something. "Yeah, I like that. That fits your personality." So it got to be a thing. So I did it for maybe 6 weeks or more. And so just over the weekend, I decided, well, I'm going to put a poll out to see just which ones, and I'll give away a couple CDs, And so I put on Facebook, "Hey, here's the 4 that I picked out that I really, really like. How about giving an idea which one I should buy?" And I'm going to take, whoever responds, put their name in a hat, and I'll pull out and send you a CD. Well, I mean, I don't know how many, that's come back and said, and sure enough, most all of them are on the same page as everybody else. They like one particular jacket.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, but it was just something to build up.
Which color was it?
It was a leopard. The leopard skin.
The bottom right?
No, the middle one.
Oh, I thought it was the bottom right.
No, the one in the middle. The one on the bottom right looked like a carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the one on the left.
I thought the blue one.
Yeah, that was the one on the left. That
Yeah.
was the big picture.
Yeah.
But everybody seems to like that leopard skin one, so whatever. Yeah.
Do you think that if you got on there and had some kind of controversy thing, then that would draw more attention? Because that's how these news medias do.
If it's a controversial subject, it could hurt you worse than help you because you'll alienate people. Look, one of the things that if you're a musician, I don't want to hear your politics. I don't want to hear that. I want to buy your music. I want to hear about your music.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. That's right. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane, bro. And so I try to stay away from that. I did get involved with a little bit of that to start with, and I thought that's just not good. Just stay away from it. I'm out there to make my name. I'm branding myself, and I don't want to alienate anybody. I want everybody to look at me, and I want you to share me with all your friends.
So you're working at this from all angles right now.
All angles. I'm marketing is what I'm doing. I call it marketing. I'm marketing myself.
Gary, I'm glad people like you are out there.
But thank you, man. I appreciate it. I really do. Yeah.